despite what their moms told them. They just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot. And really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Tuesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. There we go. For the Believe Entertainment Network at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the Militia live on X Spaces for the fan feedback segment of most of the shows post-game. However, it is a preview and post-game as Syracuse just barely decided to squeak by Moyne last night. And, you know, I got to be honest, I was not worried at all. I really wasn't. But Moyne's not, I don't think Moyne is the team that we've seen. What was the last time we played? Was it 15 years ago?
No.
When was it? Have we played every year?
I mean, we used to play him as an exhibition, right?
They beat us 15 years ago. That's when that was.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
No way.
The exhibition. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Look it up.
Don't want to.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyways, my point is that I don't think it's the same team, for one. For two, you know, guys, if you haven't already been a Syracuse fan for more than 5 minutes, then maybe you're not used to the basketball team doing this to you every first game of the season. I mean, I'm pretty used to it. I expect it, in fact. So it is what it is. However, I can say that instead of playing Slippery Slope and Cornelius in the exhibition games, maybe we could have challenged ourselves a little more. I don't know.
Free Rock and Clarion.
Whatever. Yeah. I was close enough for who it was.
Fair.
So, anyways, this is our 500th episode. And so we're going to make it really, 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 really special. And no, we're not. It's the same show, actually, except for it just happens to be happens to be Election Day.
Welcome to Election Day.
Welcome to Cuse Militia's Election Day 2024 500th episode, featuring the preview for Boston College and the fan feedback for Moyne. I haven't peeked at fan feedback. I'm interested. It garnered a lot of eyes, and I hope that we had intelligent things to say other than things like, I don't know. Let's see. Can we guess any of them, Joe? This team's overrated. That could be one, maybe.
Adrian Autry needs to go.
Oh, there we go. Can't spell sucks without SU. This was way too close. You know, those.
Yep. You played this insert name player longer than you should have played this insert name player.
Well, I got to be honest a little bit. I was not that I was confused by it, but I don't know. We'll get into that. First, it's the Boston College preview, and we can either jump right into this, Joe, or you can decide to speak or forever hold yourself. If you have anything, now's the time.
No, I think we can jump right in there, buddy.
We're going? Okay. All right. So. Oh, you know what? The one thing I didn't pull up? Oh, shame on me for the 500th episode. Let's see. I'll have it here shortly, and we'll get started. Okay. We first played in 1924. Did you know that?
Did not.
34-23 is the all-time series between Syracuse and Boston College. Syracuse losing last year at Boston College 17-10. That was the one, if I remember right, it was like really close until the very end of that game, right? That was one that hurt, if I remember right. Yeah. And that was the old, was that the one of the last games of the season or second to last or something like that, if I remember right. And I'm going off from memory, which is not a great idea, but I'm going to anyway. No, it's not.
You're kind of wanting me to go back.
Yeah, well, check it out. You can verify, but I'm pretty sure. Thomas Castellanos, quarterback, obviously, junior transfer from UCF, his second year with the Golden Eagles. He's a pivotal guy. Obviously, we know about his passing and his rushing. He's versatile, and he can get the job done, and he can be dangerous. Syracuse can't tell whether they've been able to contain guys like him yet or not. Either way, he's going to make plays, and he's going to make plays with his arm. He's going to make plays with his feet. It's 1,352 yards through the air so far this year, 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Trayshawn Ward, he's consistently contributed on the ground and in the air this year, including a standout performance against Florida State with 132 yards and a touchdown. He currently leads the team in rushing with 215 yards on the ground and second in receiving yards with 259 on 13 receptions. That's good enough for 19.3 yards per catch, which is pretty damn good. Lewis Bond leading the team in receiving. He's shown he's the reliable guy. He secured a game-winning catch against Michigan State the fourth week of the season. He led the Golden Eagles in receiving yards, or leads them in receiving yards rather right now with 369 and 39 receptions. That's good enough for over 10 a play. And then Donovan Ezeruku, and I think I'm saying that right. So he leads the Golden Eagles with 9 sacks so far this year, which is, I think the rest of the team has 4, and it's 4 different guys. So there's 5 guys that have sacks, and old Donovan Ezeruku has 9 of them. So, season are open for the Eagles. Significant victory over Florida State. Florida State was ranked 10th, right? We all remember this because we came here and talked about it, and we didn't know if Boston College was that good or if Florida State was that bad. I think we pretty much got the answer to that
at this point.
I think, right? So, first top 10 opponent win in a decade. And then the game against the Red Bandana game, they secured a dramatic 23-19 win over Michigan State. So it was, who was it? It's a late touchdown there, and I don't remember who. Bonds. So no injuries that I know of. I didn't listen to the Boston College Syracuse preview, Coach Presser, but I
did.
Looked.
It's pretty good.
Was it? Okay. Well, I looked around for an injury update and I didn't see anything. So, as far as the backfield goes, though, you do still have Robichaud and along with Trey Ward. So that's an excellent 1-2 punch.
Yes.
And Syracuse has struggled a little bit with those types of things. Another thing I'll say about just the team in general on both sides of the ball, they've been outscored 46-0 in the fourth quarter over the last 3 games. 46-0 in the fourth quarter. So that I think is a feather in the cap for Syracuse because they've actually been pretty good in the fourth quarter. And I didn't go through and add up their scores, but obviously, as you well know, they've come back in the fourth quarter, late in games a couple times. 46-0 in the fourth quarter over the past 3 games is really is not good. They said they may have some special teams inconsistencies as well. I only saw 2 field goal attempts for the team for the whole year. So,
really?
Which I thought was weird. And I checked it twice.
It's weird.
It is. A strong start against Missouri and ended up falling 27-21. Missouri was ranked 6th at the time. They struggled to contain the offense late again, which has kind of been a pattern so far. And then against Virginia Tech just ran all over them 42-21. And defensively just totally failed as Tootin ran for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. So, they have their problems. They're inconsistent, I feel like, at best. I feel like Syracuse is a more versatile, rounded team with a better identity, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Syracuse is kind of an identity, and BC's kind of in that identity crisis situation. However, Castellanos, Robichaud, and our boy there, the other one. Ward, yeah. So.
Yep. Yeah. So going back to last year's.
Yeah.
So we played them November 3rd last year.
Oh, okay.
So we still had
a year ago.
A couple games after. And that was the game Carlos Del Rio Wilson started, went 7-17 for 37 yards and had 4 interceptions. DeQuint Allen ran the ball 18 times for 142 yards. And yeah, we tied the game in the fourth quarter, 10-10. And they went on a long, 11-play drive and scored at 2.5 minutes or something like that to go. And in that game, Castellanos carried the ball 22 times for 87 yards and a touchdown, and Robichaud carried it 23 times for 70 yards. And Castellanos also, he went 20 of 37 passing for 165 yards and a touchdown. So our defense kind of held them. And realistically, if Schrader's healthy, then we probably win that game. I think if we go back and look at that post-game podcast that we did about that game, then it's probably what we said. But looking at the stats that they have this year, exactly the same thing that you said. They have an offense that we've seen multiple types of offenses that's run heavy, and they got a quarterback that can run. So I think that's a little bit in our favor. And honestly, knowing that they're giving up the rushing yards and the rushing defense that they have, and us coming off of, probably the most balanced game that we've had this year on offense, it, to me, looks like, we got to kind of go off of that, and we got to continue to try to be balanced and feed LeQuint, man. LeQuint's got to get the ball. So I think this kind of checks out for us a little bit. Boston College, they've definitely looking good. Something had happened. I know Castellanos was hurt. Who knows if he's still playing with an injury? I'm not too sure if they had lost some other starters for the year in between all that. I don't really follow Boston College that much, but looking at the recent games, and hopefully with the mentality of that win against Virginia Tech, going on the road, we're 2-point underdog, but I'm confident in this team and what they can do against Boston College. And I think that there's some players that were there last year that knew that they could have won if they were healthy. And now we're kind of going into Boston College possibly more healthier than them. So who knows? I think it's one of those things where you hope and pray that the weather pans out for you, because obviously, northeast weather in November is rough, and obviously if you're not playing in a dome, which Boston College doesn't. And so
Syracuse should be practicing outside.
I'm sure they are, right? I'm sure, and they can, right? But if they can go through a whole week of practice if it doesn't rain, and then they show up on game day and it's raining in Boston College and it's 20 degrees colder,
I think that bodes well for Syracuse, actually. I think that could play right into their hands.
Well, I don't necessarily know that. I mean, it's
going to be heavy run, right?
Well, I mean, it's going to be heavy run from Boston College regardless, right?
Yeah.
And then Castellanos, he throws a decent deep ball. Obviously, we got to have to make sure that we keep an eye on Bonds. But, for us, I mean, if we're not going to be balanced, we're going to be passing more, right? So I just think that, you're talking about a wet situation. You get any type of precipitation at that game, then I think that that's going to help Boston College more than it helps us, just based on the passing game.
Yeah, so defensively, Boston College ranks 10th in the ACC and 59th in FBS, allowing 140 yards a game. Okay. And they're averaging 158 on offense, which is good enough for 8th and 65th, 8th in the ACC and 65th in FBS. All right. So their pass yards per game on defense ranks 89th and 11th with 217. So on a clear day, we could Kyle McCord could have some fun, I feel like. But with that said, with the balanced game that we saw last week, I can't see any reason why Syracuse wouldn't come out here and do the same exact thing they did to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, a way better team. Virginia Tech waxed Boston College this year. So Virginia Tech, a way better team. And I know they were playing man down. I know.
With drones and two.
I know. I get it. But I'm just saying. I think the team we played could arguably be better than Boston College. I may eat those words, but I'm going to say them anyway.
Okay.
So
Fair.
I did not ask for predictions, and shame on me for that, because I had a morning. It was one of those days. Felt like a Monday. Anyway, excuse me. Let me sip this real quick.
Hey, look. Sometimes you have days like that.
Yeah, so I totally forgot, and I didn't even realize I forgot until just now. So it sucks, and I apologize. But
that's why you need to take the sip.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was pretty good at the beginning of the year of getting that thing out there at like right at 7:30, which is like prime time in the morning for tweets or whatever they call them now. But yeah, I forgot. I was busy. So with that said, Joe, we're going to do fan feedback for the basketball game. I want to talk a little bit about that. So let's...
But later?
After we give our predictions. Coming up.
Oh, okay.
Right after this. Sound good?
Yeah.
You want to talk about the basketball game? I got fan feedback lined up for it.
Predictions, right?
Yeah, predictions first. See.
Who won?
We, as Peter would say. It looks like you won. What was the final score again? 20. It was a touchdown, right?
38-31.
Yeah. I was looking at mine. So, yeah, I had a 1-point win for Syracuse, and you had a 4-point win. So you're going to take that, and you're going to head into the Boston College game 4-3.
Okay.
So
almost bowl
eligible. We took the tiebreaker out of it because we picked the wrong team in week 7. Well, game 7.
Yeah, we're just going to
say.
Happen.
Yeah, we're going to pretend that game didn't even happen. We're not even going to count it in the picks. So, so Joe, you can receive or defer. What are you going to do?
I'll receive.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, it worked last time, so this one's a little weird to me. When I look it up on ESPN, the matchup predictor, which again, obviously, the ESPN analytics, they're never wrong. But they have Boston College as a 63.6% chance of winning.
What?
Yeah, a little weird to me.
Interesting.
Still not getting any respect. I mean, I know we lost to Stanford, and I was at the NC State-Stanford game last week watching that, like, how did we lose to this team? But, yeah, it's the only reason I'm confident in this is because of the fact of what we spoke about coming back from Pittsburgh and having that, Dart mentality to come back, get an overtime win against Virginia Tech in a game where it could have ended up like Pittsburgh, right? And we talked about this kind of shaping the momentum going into these next 3 winnable games and these 2 that are on the road. Meanwhile, Boston College, they're on a 3-game losing streak in which obviously Louisville, formidable opponent, and they only lost by 4. But losing at Virginia Tech by 21 when we just beat them, and then at Virginia
with drones and tootin'.
Yeah, well, still. And at Virginia, which Virginia is not a great, I think that we're better than them as well. So the only thing I really think that Boston College has in their favor, and again, could be some injuries and some things that we don't know, but they had a bye week. They're coming off a bye week. That's pretty much the only positive that they have going on. So I think one of the biggest things is going to be, like we spoke about last podcast, is not coming out slow, because I think that Boston College is going to come out and they're going to come out confident after a bye week. They're on a 3-game losing streak. They want to get that W. They're at home in front of their home crowd. Who knows if it's homecoming or whatever. So we just have to be able to just kind of maintain that onslaught that Boston College is going to come out and do, and maybe some stuff that they scheme up that we haven't seen, on film at this point, because obviously bye week you have enough time to install that stuff. But yeah, dude, this team has taught me that they just got to keep it close in the first half, and they got to figure out what the other team's doing. And once they do that, and they get into halftime, we'd be ready to roll. I just hope that they come out and put some more points on the board in the first half that they have, considering that they've only put up 3 points in the first half in the last 2 games. So, yeah. But other than that, I think we win this.
Other than putting up points.
Well, you got to put up points, right?
Right.
But there's just things that go to it, obviously.
I know.
I still think that we come out on top, and I'm gonna go. I think our defense steps up, and I think I'm gonna go 31. 23.
Oh. Okay. So close to mine, but I like it. I don't know how you got to 23, pal. You want to explain that one?
What do you mean?
Is there a safety in there? What happened?
A couple field goals.
Okay, they've kicked 2 the whole year, though.
And maybe they kicked 2 on Saturday.
Okay, fair. Something's going on there, though. I just don't know enough about him if I'm being brutally honest.
Well, so I got this guy. I got this insider, and he said during the bye week, they got somebody. They're good.
They picked up a free agent?
No, they didn't pick up a free agent. It's just, they figured it out.
They grabbed someone from the soccer team.
They had an open tryout at practice, and they figured it out.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. Wish I'd have had that intel coming into this.
Can't give up my sources.
Hey, look, I don't blame you, but if anybody's going to get him, it should be me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, I know.
I'm full of shit.
We know. We all know. So, look, no, that's not the only thing. Look, I agree with so much of what you said, but so much of what you said is Syracuse wins by 8. There's a long way around to Syracuse wins by 8. Well, I got tickle in my throat again.
Fair. I mean,
I couldn't talk. Hold on. So, I guess what I'm saying is I agree with a lot of what you said. Obviously, it's a great point about 3 points in the first half in the last 2 games. Obviously, and I'll say obviously probably 5 more times today while we're talking about this. You have to put up points, right? Goes without saying, but it's a good point to make that point about the points.
John Madden.
Right? So, anyway, a good point to make the point about the points. If our defense can either slow this rush down and give up, I think it's going to be, in everything I'm about to say is John Madden-esque now that it runs through my head first. So state the obvious. If Syracuse's defense can slow the rush from the running backs down, because I think that's the most dangerous part, because they face so many of these dual threat type quarterbacks, and they've actually done a pretty good job. All in all, those quarterbacks have all made plays somewhere, but Syracuse has contained them to the point where it could have been a whole lot worse. I mean, there was some of that defense won games. So focusing on the 2 running backs, because I think that they're extremely good, and in Trayshawn Ward and Kyle Robichaud. So Robichaud.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're far, and then you got Turbo Richard too, which is he's not too far behind those 3. And then you got Castellanos coming in 4th with in rushing yards. So they really have 3 guys at running back that they can keep fresh, and that worries me. Syracuse being strong and stronger throughout the year in the second half, and Boston College not, is a huge plus. I said it before, I'll say it again. So I think Syracuse goes into this game high on the horse. I feel like they overcame a huge obstacle last week in not dropping that game. And I think if they lose that game, I'm watching them come into this game, and myself personally, I'm feeling very uncomfortable.
I would have had a different guess. Yeah.
Right. I would be feeling very uncomfortable because what that would have showed us all is that Syracuse is not ready to overcome severe adversity. And that severe adversity is still Pitt, right? So with that said, I feel good about Syracuse. I feel good about them being on the road. It's not too far. The weather's similar. Like Joe said, unless it rains, it's probably not going to be too much different than what they're practicing in. I think they're going to be ready for it. I love what Coach had to say about one of the DBs that went unnamed last. Right? Like, look.
You did listen to a little of it.
That, I didn't listen to Boston College's.
Oh.
Yeah. I listened to ours. I didn't listen to Boston College's.
Okay. Yeah, same. Ditto. By the way, I did look at
Well, that's where I get my injury updates from, is listening to Boston College's or the other teams. But go on.
I did look at the weather and court in Boston on Saturday. At this point, obviously, we're a bunch of days away. But right now, 0 precipitation, the high of 53.
That's perfect. That's perfect for both teams, but it bodes well for Syracuse. They don't play outside.
Yeah.
So, okay. That's going to be a nice day. If it's sunny, it'll feel like 63.
Yeah.
Okay, so long way around to me saying this. I don't think Boston College bothers with field goals, and that may stop them from winning this game by a field goal.
Oh, no, man. I got a guy.
Syracuse 31, Boston College 28. So there's that.
All right.
You want to talk some basketball now? We'll talk some basketball real quick, and we'll get the hell out of here. Here we go. All right, Syracuse pulls off the home opener in the JMA Wireless Dome, 86-82 against Moyne last night. And, the trend of the first half really didn't stop. It was just the fight, I think, in Syracuse pulled them through this. And Jair Davis, the former Blue Hen, you can't say enough about that dude. But Chris Bell was huge in the beginning of that second half. And J.J. Starling at the end with the shot. So, it's a little bit. I'm a little bit confused. And by the way, Peter, what is it? Wait, hold on a second. Let me look at this real quick again.
Mestorovic.
Yeah, Mestorovic. Yeah, that's going to be tough. I remember when Dolerzai was tough though. So, but by the way, he reminds me of Dolerzai a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The energy, you know what I mean? Yeah. He'd come out there with turbo boosters on that.
He only played 6 minutes.
I thought that was a solid 6 minutes, and I don't even think we saw him in the second half. So I thought that, he got 4 offensive rebounds in 6 minutes.
Yeah,
he
did.
And I don't think
a
steal. And I don't think we saw him in the second half. And I would have liked to have seen more of him. And Coach admittedly is still trying things with this lineup. And it's good because of the talent that he has. And, I feel like Lampkin, I felt like I would have saw him more. But it's, Davis pulling the 5 spot for a while. Did a tremendous job. What do you have? 13 rebounds total?
Him or Freeman.
What's that?
It was either him or Freeman. Yeah, he had 12.
They played, they kind of, they did. They kind of switched on and off, but Freeman as well. And we kind of knew what we were going to get with Freeman.
Right.
But this Jair Davis and the Mastorovic, if I'm still saying that wrong, I'm sorry. I'll get it back. I'll get it later. Cause he was a late get. It was like 2 days before enrollment or something like that. I've heard. So, those are just solid players on the team. Like the talent on the team is amazing. I think it's great. A lot of senior guys and I love Lampkin. Like he was my early favorite, but because of his size, he's just a big dude and I love that. And I don't know. I love that. And he's wearing the 44. So he's my early favorite, but
my guy's is Davis. But.
Well, he quickly became everybody's guy last night. So
but he was kind of my guy with his body and knowing that he can play small forward, power forward, and I think that it's just perfect physicality ACC. So I think he's going to help us on the boards all year.
Yeah, and I think if I mean, does he have a year? Like, when's this extra year eligibility thing end? Because he's technically a senior this year, 6'7", 220.
Yeah, no.
Now what?
Here, buddy.
Huh?
It's his only year.
Okay, all right.
I think all transfers that came in, they only have 1 year.
That's it? Okay. Well, fair enough. You know, that's the name of the game. You know, because Lampkin is a 2021 guy. So he's in his fifth. So I guess that was the cutoff then. We have finally run through that.
We have ran through the COVID-19 year.
Finally. This is actually the last year of it. Unless you had some other kind of red shirt. So good to know. And we can somewhat get back to normal here. So that's good. But defensively, not impressed, I guess, to say the very least. And if you remember past few years, you want to come in, you want to beat Syracuse. Well, you know what? Practice your shots behind the arc, because if you can hit, then you're the shit. Because Syracuse has a hard time, and they hit at a 74% clip. So 17 for 23. And, I'm sorry. Timeout. That was free throws. 36%, which is good. 9 for 25. And there was a couple there that were answers to ours when we were trying to get ourselves back into it, and they were crowd killers. So defensively, not impressed. Offensively, I think it's just a lot to figure out, a lot of talent, and they got to just work as a team and go from there.
Well, part of that, I mean, realistically too, right, is you could talk about the defense, but we still scored 50 points in the second half. We won by 4. And you look at, 3-pointers, we were 4 for 22 at an 18% rate, right? Like, that's not going to happen every game. And free throws, we were 20 of 31 for 64.5. You got to get better at that too. So, they hit 5 more free throws and a couple more threes, and it's a double-digit game. So it's one of those things where I still think that they're just figuring out their roles. You bring in these graduate transfers that had just huge roles on the teams that they came from, especially when you're talking about Lucas Taylor and Jair Davis and Carlos. And they're coming from smaller schools where they had a huge role on those. And now you're coming up in JJ Starling, Chris Bell still here. They played 38 and 33 minutes. They're still here. You got Donnie Freeman, who's expected to get a certain amount of minutes, be coming in as, the 5-star, and then Eddie Lampkin, so it's where not everybody can be the man anymore, right? So where are the roles going to be? And, I was talking to my cousin about this yesterday, and he was saying, a little bit of what you were speaking about the talent. I think the talent on this team is undeniable. It's just, how do you make it fit? And you're even saying that with a Chance Westry on the bench and then Naheem McLeod that didn't even play. So
would Naheem be a good fit in there? Like right now, does Naheem really, like, if you have
not against smaller teams?
Right.
No,
right.
Not against smaller teams. But one of the things that I looked at was, they went small ball a lot. And against a Moyne, you can get rid of you can get away with having Donnie Freeman and Jair Davis out there as your 5 and your 4. But, Lampkin Jr. didn't even play 20 minutes. And, when you're playing against ACC schools that's got big guys, like,
he got
what are you going to do then? You're not going to be able to get away with the Donnie Freeman, Jair Davis.
No, he got 2 quick fouls, and I thought that's why he was taken out. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why he was taken out.
That's why he was taken out in the beginning, but then
what
he
happened?
He ended with 2 personal fouls.
Yeah.
So
that's my point. That's my point. It's like, okay, he was taken out because of those fouls, but he didn't really get a ton of minutes after that either. And I mean, he did finish with 10 points and 3 rebounds.
Right.
I mean,
I'm not saying he had a bad game.
No, I know you're not. I'm questioning the decision. My whole point is
that he didn't even play half the game at center, and he was the only guy, if you were going to play against a legit, I don't want to say legit, like I'm banging on Moyne, but you know what I'm saying, a bigger conference team, they're going to have size, in which, okay, if Eddie Lampkin Jr., let's just say that he doesn't get those fouls early. He only played 19 minutes. How many minutes does he end up playing? I don't know. Who comes in after that? Because Donnie Freeman and Jair Davis, as good as they played, they both had double doubles last night. They're not going to be able to defend. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just a one game just reaction, but they're not going to be able to defend those type of big men in the ACC.
Well, like Coach said, and I totally agree. Without Jair Davis's effort last night, Syracuse doesn't win this game.
No.
So it could have been just that. You know, he just saw it and was like, okay, I feel like this is our best shot. Let him go out there and do his thing. And we used to call Boeheim the chemist because he played around with lineups so much at the beginning of the year, but he ended up only playing 7. You know, I think Reds on record is saying that's not going to be this team this year. This team's going to play deep.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they can come up with. I mean, the combinations are kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, but that's easy to say, like at a podium, right? Versus when you're like in game playing against Moyne and you're like, oh crap, no, right. Carlos and Sterling have to stay in and play those minutes because we need to win this game.
Right.
So
and there's a lot of faces
you want to play that many.
There's a lot of faces we don't know. I mean, in fact, we know Bell and we know Starling. We don't even really know Cuff. He didn't even play that much last year.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the era we live in with, I think, especially college basketball because the teams are so much smaller. And it's not attractive to me, but
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, it is what it is now. I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, so it's exactly right. It's who can be creative in the portal. I mean, Tony Bennett didn't leave college basketball because he wanted to finish on top. I mean, Tony Bennett retired because he didn't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
The loyalty, we've been through, that's a whole nother show. We've already been through it. I'm not going to go through it right now, but that's why I left.
And that's the thing. And like I said, I was talking to my cousin about this, and I was telling him that I feel like this team is more of a like NC State last year. Like I don't have a good feeling. And again, they can prove me wrong. This could just be like first game, just stupid reactions. But I kind of felt like this even going into the Moyne game was like, I'm not confident in the non-conference while we still try to figure out who's right. This feels more to me that I say that not saying that our team doesn't have talent and they can't be good. I say that as the beginning of the year, sometimes that's tough. And this to me feels more like last year NC State team where we might not have a great non-conference and we might have to figure it out while we're going through the conference, and we might be in a position where we have to win the ACC tournament to get in. I don't know. I hope that's not the case.
It's way too early for that. I'm not even there. I'm not even close. I got a feeling that because of the amount of talent, it could go against us. Like just as a cohesive unit, it could take longer, which we all know, which is something else that's not going to change in college basketball. And that is the fact that wherever you start in this metric of the quad system or whatever, it's almost impossible to make gains. So like I was thinking last night, well, if they lose this game, that could kill them for the rest of the year if Moyne ends up like sucking or being extremely mediocre. It would kill them. One freaking game.
I mean, you have to understand they're in one of the lower, like their conference winners playing in the 16 seed playing game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're absolutely right when you say like that type of game, right? And we have so many, and we got Colgate next. We got a week, but
we
know
all
what Colgate's done.
Yeah, we got them last year, but they got us 2 years before that in a row.
Right. So, I mean, as a Syracuse fan, but obviously the PTSD and this crap that we go through, I mean, after last night against a game like Moyne like that, how confident you feel about Colgate?
I thought about it.
By the way, Texas is right after.
Well, that's a tournament, right? So,
yeah, we would be playing winners and losers play. We're playing Texas. Texas Tech's playing St. Joseph's. So that's 2 games, 2 days. So,
well,
I mean, that's kind of where I'm trying to take it one step at a time. And like I said, I'm trying to be positive, like my cousin, because he said, like, I think we have good enough talent to where we can figure it out. And I'm like, I get it, but I feel more like this. And, sure as shit, last night, halfway through the second half, he texted me like, forget everything that I said earlier in our conversation. So he kind of lost confidence with that as well. So, with basketball, it's not like football. We've spoken about this so many times. It's almost like, it's you're along for the ride when it comes to basketball, right? Football, every game is like super, super important. Basketball, you're along for the ride. It's a long season
to some extent, but every loss is like the old 1 foot forward, 2 steps back.
You're
thing.
right. It matters, but there's a tournament you can win at the end of the year to get into the NCAA tournament every year, no matter what.
Right.
I'm just saying there is.
Okay.
Football
So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is you got like that last
I get it.
break glass in case of emergency, right? Like there's one last gasp. No matter how bad you do the whole season, you still get that one try.
Right, but we've tried to break the glass. We've been in the break glass in case of an emergency situation.
Not great,
and we haven't been able to,
especially in the ACC tournament.
We haven't been able to do it.
I get it.
Yeah. So, okay. It's time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
All right, you guys know what to do at the end of every game. Ask for your thoughts on that game. You leave them on the socials, Facebook and Twitter, or X, as it were, or is. Okay, well, let's start. I got 31 comments on Twitter, which isn't terrible. So, truth be told, I had to carry my phone around with me. Started this game at home. Listened to it all the way to my son's last lacrosse game for fall ball. And then left there at halftime because it was so late. And came back and listened to it on the way back. And it was just finishing as I got my driveway. So I did watch most of it. I watched I watched more of it than I watched my son's lacrosse game, probably. Is that terrible? Am I a terrible parent for that?
No, you're not.
Anyway, let's see.
Just fall ball.
They won their last game of the season, too, for fall, which doesn't mean anything, but it's still fun. Let's see. At DCags, he's got a meme here. I don't know who the hell it is. It says, well, this isn't quite what I hoped for. And that's the thing about hoping. Don't do it. Don't set the expectations. We always know this is going to be a mess at the beginning. And if you have high expectations, look, I saw a tweet during the Slippery Rock game that said something like, I know it's just Slippery Rock, but man, this is a Final Four team. And I'm thinking to myself, it's Slippery Rock, which I didn't even know existed 5 minutes before that game. So there's that. So anyway, at No Blanchard 44, first game of the season, everyone relax. Yeah, don't hit the panic button yet. That's true. At David Super, thrilled Orange basketball is back. Don't complain. It was not a loss, of course. We'll see growth and improvement game by game. We have a month before Notre Dame and almost 2 months before actual start of ACC play, which is, I don't know if that makes me feel good or depressed. I expect to watch a much more polished team by that time. And I like the attitude, and David always brings the positive vibe to the comment section.
Yeah, that's what happens in basketball every year, right?
Yeah.
Team always gets better as it goes on. Well,
Yeah. That's the hope.
In theory.
The more you play, the better you get. Don't complain it was not a loss, he says. And look, it's true. But I'm just like, at the end of that game yesterday, I'm like, okay, they won. That's done. It's a W in the column. It really is. After that, there's not much that matters. So, and my brother-in-law pretty much texted me almost the same exact thing. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. At R by Tuesday, no bad wins. Very disappointing performance. I don't know if I agree with that. No bad wins. I mean, a win's a win. We just said that. So I'm not going to walk that back. Disappointing performance. It just looked confusing. I was confused. They were confused. I was confused. It was slow. Defense was lethargic. And that's kind of what I meant that I didn't really say about the defense is I just thought it was lazy.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And we all have to understand, too, like this is the first year that Adrian Autry actually gets to put together
a portal team?
Well, a team, period, right? Because the team that he had was basically put together by Jim Boeheim, right? So realistically, I mean, other than J.J. Starling, right? I mean, everyone else is pretty. I don't know. All I'm saying basically is that he's going to get a lot of criticism. Last year he got a lot of criticism. This year, if it doesn't, he's going to get more criticism because he's the one that put it together. And honestly, the only thing that I worry about too is the net ranking and everything like that. And I hope that they change some things in the offseason. But if you remember the net ranking, a lot of when we looked at it last year, it was like winning margin, right? How much do you beat somebody? We had multiple conversations about that, and it seemed like the net was helping teams, or was more favorable for teams that would go out and beat the hell out of each other, or would beat the hell out of a smaller team. And agree with it or not, this is the type of team on our schedule where we're supposed to be doing that. So yes, we can say that a win is a win, but at the end of the day, when you look at net rankings, if crap hasn't changed from last year, then that win didn't help us in the net ranking.
No, but a loss would absolutely destroy us.
Well, yeah, the loss would be worse, right?
Right.
But realistically, these are the games like Duke won by 30 against Maine last night, right? Like that's going to help those type of teams versus winning by 4.
It's like the quasi RPI deal.
And I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying that we've had conversations about it, and that last night didn't help us in the net. Obviously, a loss would have been worse, but still.
At D. Falvey, very unfocused defensively, too many plays. We weren't back fast enough, or lack of awareness to find guys. Did Lampkin at one point, and I'm not trying to call him out, but at one point it looked like he was down there conversing and got back extremely late. So have some sort of coherent plan on P&Rs. You got me. Oh, pick and rolls. Hopefully this was we're playing Moyne thing because Cornell will pound us if we're not better. Is it Cornell or Colgate? It's Cornell.
We're playing both, so it don't matter.
True.
Colgate's
right. So yeah, it's
in a week from today.
It's true, and like they said last night on the broadcast, they got a week to clean some of this stuff up. It was Devendorf and Matt Park. They got a week to clean this stuff up, so they got to do it. At Saltine Warrior 4 program has fallen off so far. JJ and Jair, the bright spots, but how does this team not know how to beat a zone? You'd think the coaches would know after coaching it the last few decades. So soft on the inside, missing the extra pass, playing rushed, and overall not smart ball. So, I can't argue with it. Mobster always a little, Saltine Warrior always a little harsh, but that's okay.
That's harsh. That's really harsh.
I don't know if it's that harsh.
Look, you can talk about, playing weak, and we had 50 points in the paint to their 36, and we had 46 rebounds to 32 for them. So I don't know what he's talking about. What he's talking about in the paint. I'm saying.
I don't necessarily, I'm not going to sit here and say I know. I wish he could defend himself on it, but I think the defense on the inside could have been better, maybe.
The defense.
I think that's probably what he's talking about. There were some times where I saw some standing around in the paint and just watching people go up. So, I would have to say if I had to guess that would be it. So, our buddy Nadal, I want to see more plays and actions from Chris Bell. He clearly worked on creating his own shot in the offseason. But if we want him to go off for 20 plus a game, Got to give him better looks. P.S. Why the F was the dome Lemoyne green tonight? Oh, well, has to be orange on game day. Well, when you're, 3 miles, 5 miles, not even away, that's a tough one. Lemoyne's going to bring it. And a lot of those people probably closet Syracuse fans, honestly. So
yeah, but you know how those you get those local alums that like graduated Lemoyne.
Yes,
and they're
I
like,
know people who graduated from Lemoyne.
They're cheering for Syracuse on this side, but now all of a sudden Lemoyne's a Division I team, and they're going to show up with their green, and if they do win,
then they can be like, oh well, my team beat your team, but underneath that green T-shirt is a Syracuse tattoo that you put on yourself 20 years ago. So, at Oil Cuse, our buddy Captain Patrick. Oh, what the F was that shit? We better clean that shit up. I'm too old for this. FYI, Joe is nasty AF. Yes, sir. Got the characters in this time.
I tried to sway him last time.
Look, Patrick,
you don't need to add those two letters, but
I mean, I don't know. It's the staple. Look, I'm too old for it too, which is why I was just like, whatever. And maybe I shouldn't be like whatever, but it was one of those things. It was like, I don't see them losing this game. It's going to be a typical start. You could tell if the first half, my wife was like, aren't you worried? I'm like, I'm not that worried. I just feel like they've got to win, because if they don't, I mean, this could be it. I'm serious. There's no way the season ends this quick. There's no way. So I was like, they're going to win.
That's kind of how I was thinking too. Like, I was looking at it, I'm like, dude, there's no way we're going to lose this game. Like, there's no way. Like, I mean, I was confident that we were going to be able to come back, but still, it was not a good look.
No,
last night
wasn't.
Was not a night where I wanted to be as nervous as I am tonight. Like, I wish that I would have just had an easy night last night, but yeah. Stress 2 nights in a row.
Oh, I know. It was ridiculous.
I needed last night to be like a 20-point victory, not worried about it, just watching.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of those games you're like, yes, this is going to be exciting. I want it to be exciting. That's not that game. That's a game where you're facing a superior opponent. You're like, look, Syracuse is good, man. I think this is going to be an exciting game. You don't go into Lemoyne thinking, man, it's going to be a nail biter. Can't wait. So, Vince, coaching is awful. There we go. Coaching is awful. No communication on defense. No adjustments. 2 minutes from Chopamore. Pathetic all around. Yeah, there could be some criticism for maybe some of the I don't know, maybe the substitutions or the playing time for some people. I don't know. All of that for me, honestly, is just something I feel like it's general.
Out of our wheelhouse.
Do what?
It's out of our wheelhouse.
It's out of our wheelhouse.
The first game of the season.
We don't know.
They're the coaches, right? They're going to play the people that they think are going to win the game.
And we've been through this, right? We've been through this. The whole Kadari Richmond thing was like probably my worst memory of this, right? But they're legit. They are legit gripes because I was just confused about them. But to Joe's point, we don't freaking have any idea. So it is what it is. I'm going to do one more, Joe. We're going to wrap this thing up here. I'm going to let you hit Facebook up to finish it off. At DBone75, oh my God, where to start? Davis and Bell look good. This team needs to figure out out defense, quote unquote. I get this is a new team and they would need time to develop and gel. I am tired of the slow starts. Touche, or kudos. Yeah, I agree. One of those words. And playing down to their competition, taller, stronger, and out these damn smaller teams away already. So, yeah. I mean, I can vibe with that, I think. It's just, first game of the season. Yeah. I love the feedback, though. One more. At Barry Cuse, when these teams meet, you got to throw records and stats out the window. The Orange and Dolphins on Monday night in November is a recipe for a battle. Gutted out a win against a big-time rival. I love it.
Dude, I mean, look, at the end of the day, they're right down the street, right? They're always going to try to show up to beat us. And now they're in Division I and the games matter. So.
Yeah, true that.
So Facebook, so we had we had a little convo between Mahir and Nadal. Mahir says they played like a team that would finish 11th in the ACC tonight. Normally in the past, I'd say, okay, whatever is the first game. Not this year. No NCAA tournament for 3 years straight. My optimism is running low. Hope they work on things because that was unacceptable.
That was Mahir?
That was Mahir.
Wow.
Yeah. And Nadal comes back and says, Mahir, despite you not wanting to say it's the first game of the year, it's the first game of the year. This team is loaded with talent. You forgot those other years we lost to colleges like Bryant all the time.
Let's not bring that. You want to talk about something not to bring up? It's that Bryant game we lost. Okay, let's not talk about that.
Look, they're trying to talk themselves into being hopeful, but we didn't lose to Bryant. We didn't lose to Moyne. So let's see what else we got. Top and Tim Smith. Again, some cardiac Cuse comments. My heart was pounding at the end, but we need to find an identity on offense because this can't be happening every game. But Davis, man, he is good.
I hope your heart was pounding through the whole game, actually, because if it wasn't, then you'd have been dead at some point. So good.
Yeah, and that goes to Brian Levy. Says need an APB on rhythm. Hopefully we are much better than this over the next couple games before we get into Texas and Tennessee.
I don't know if we'll be much better when we get to Texas and Tennessee. I don't.
Nah, it's not too far away, especially Texas. So,
yeah.
So, we got some more optimism from Greg Waltz. Lost to Moyne and went on to a number one ranking not so long ago. Just saying, it's early. Don't lose faith.
It's
also,
true.
Didn't watch either game.
Either what the one 15 years ago and one last night? Is that what he means?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The year we lost an exhibition game to Moyne, we ended up becoming number one, and I totally forgot about that until Devendorf pointed that out because he was on that team. So anyway, pretty cool for him to get to talk about that in a live broadcast playing Moyne.
Yep. Jake Maley. This team can't play defense in a wheelchair league. He says,
"Oh man."
Says maybe Kyle Cuff could, but instead Autry only played him 3 seconds so we could watch Carlos get beat like a drum. God, that's rough.
That is true, though. That is true. He went in right at the end of the first half.
I know that part is true, but Carlos plays better defense than that. There were some bad calls on him.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't even get into all the calls because, like I said, I had a lot going on.
There was a lot of bad calls and then makeup calls.
Well, I was around a lot of parents during the game, my son's game, and so it's like you don't want to be like glued to the phone, so socialize and whatnot. And I was just checking the score and trying to keep up with it as best I could, but I did hear some whistles. Yeah,
but I will tell you that defense is going to be a problem, I think.
That's what I think. I mean, first right off the get, that's what I think. They just need energy, bro. That defense just didn't have any energy. There was no, you know what I mean?
To me,
effort's free, right, Joe? Effort's free. Doesn't it come down to like,
effort is free, yes.
Put something
but to
into
me,
it.
It's more roles.
Oh, yeah. And
who you got out there, who can play with each other. That's just something that it's just going to take a little while to figure out. And it's sad to have to admit that. And it is not an excuse. It is a reason. That's something that happens. Like when you're scrimmaging each other and you're going back and forth, you don't get anything out of that. You don't understand that until you start playing other teams. And that goes back to your point earlier where, maybe we should have challenged ourselves a little bit in the 2 exhibition games versus playing Clarion and Slippery Rock. So
have we figured out where Slippery Rock is, by the way?
They're both teams in Pennsylvania. They're D2. D2 schools in Pennsylvania.
I think it's a terrible idea. And I think it's a terrible idea to do it in non-conference play, too. I'm totally against it.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of teams now.
I know.
Duke had a damn exhibition against Arizona, right? So there's a lot of teams, or Arizona State. So there's a lot of teams that are playing other teams, D1 teams, and they're getting a better look versus just wasting 2 exhibition games on D2 schools. That doesn't matter. What are you doing?
Yeah,
you're not really getting better.
No,
right?
you guys can scrimmage one another and get more out of it.
Right. And the whole thing, I think the whole point of it was like back in the day, at times you had a lot of people coming back. So you knew what you had coming back. There was roles and people that were coming. They already knew what their roles were. And so I think the thought process was, play a couple D2 schools to kind of just, polish up. Right. But today, over half your team is getting switched out every single year. So you don't need to play against a D2 school where everyone in your roster is going to play good if they go in. Like, you need to play against a formidable opponent so you can see where your weaknesses are and who can play and who can play and who can't.
Right.
So, I mean, I completely agree with that. And that's something that's got to be obviously looked at going into next year. And so to finish, last comment, Facebook, top fan, our boy Andy Stewart.
Okay, well, let's see what Andy has to say.
It's still football season, baby.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll take it.
That's what it is. So to throw a positive on that, it's still football season.
Yeah, let's get one more round of applause for that. Look, we're not even going to get seriously serious into this basketball thing for a couple weeks. And not that we're not serious. We spent half the episode talking about it tonight. So,
we did.
It's just okay right now. So let's get through football. We got a chance at 9 wins. We got a legit shot at 9 wins this football season, right? So
we do.
Let's just keep our powder dry in the meantime about the basketball team. See what happens. A lot of talent. Just got to figure it out. So I wish there was like a trade deadline or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no offense to anybody on the team. I'm just saying. It's like, got a lot of talent. I don't know if we're going to use it all. That's the problem. So anyways, bulking up for injuries maybe, but maybe some of them can play football. I don't know. All right. That is going to do it for us. Space is a little weak tonight. Very weak. That's okay. It's a Tuesday evening. To be expected. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.